This is Donald Trump's potential new administration coming in for his next term as president. Take a look. Take a look at him. Take a mental picture. All right? Now, keep that thought in your mind. But let's see what Fox News has to say about this potential group coming in.
We were just talking about this. I think Joey made a great point. This cabinet represents an incredible amount of diversity compared to any other administration that we've really seen. When you think about the true nature of diversity, that is what people believe, the backgrounds they come from, intellectual, ideological diversity. What?
Fox, what do the kids say nowadays? Holy glaze. Fox News, you're full of shit. Hey, listen, you know what the worst part about it is? It's not even that egregious. You know, you got your honorary Indian in the Vivek. You know what I'm saying? You got some women in Albert, you know what I'm saying? You got the Hispanic gentleman passing as a white. Fair enough. But when you try to pee on me and tell me it's raining, why you try to insult my intelligence? You said, oh, as far as intellectual diversity, there's nothing intellectually diverse about these people. Let me speak for the black delegation. I don't see a representation yet. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but Mr. Donald Trump, I would like to beg. I would like to beg for, what's his name? Brian Donald, Tim Scott, both. They shucked and jived for months. We traded them away as the black community. And now you're hanging them out to dry. Please find a department for these ninjas. I don't want to see them suffering out here. Housing development, something. Security, transport. Give them something. Because they are down bad right now.
Looking at Trump's cabinet, it only proves that he look at his black supporters as just the help. Y'all are nothing but workhorses. And you would think like someone as intelligent as Candace Owens, she'll have a position. Imagine if Obama had as many black cabinet picks as Trump has white cabinet picks. And it don't stop there. He just picked these people just because they were black. That would have started a civil war. And these people can't even argue that he picked the most qualified people for these positions. Because just like he picked the Matt Gaetz for this position, who has all type of skeletons coming out of his closet, he could have easily put a Tim Scott in that same position who has a clean record.
All right, guys, so I want to talk about this topic that is going viral on social media among race hustlers and liberals that are so desperate. They're very desperate to try to get a gotcha moment, to try to make people regret voting for Trump. And there's a very, very, very desperate effort to try to make black people feel bad about voting for Trump, as if black people got played for voting for Trump. Now, here's the thing. Black people, the ones that voted for Trump, voted for him for the same reasons that everybody else, most of America, voted for Trump, which is because of the economy, immigration, peace on the world stage, and making our country great again, right? And Trump has started to pick his cabinet and to promote people that he believes is going to accomplish that mission. Now, as of right now, Trump has not nominated or picked anybody in his cabinet that is black. And liberals are trying to make a big deal about this as if it actually matters, right? It's something that, again, is an extremely fascinating conversation to have, because these people really do believe that this is somehow disrespect or somehow, again, a gotcha or oh, this is proof that Trump hates blacks, that black people got played who voted for Trump because there are no black people in his cabinet yet. And this is something that Al Sharpton was fuming over on Joe Scarborough's show when they were talking about meeting with Trump and the things that people like Joe Scarborough should be bringing up to Trump to bridge the gap, right? To meet Trump in the middle, which is, hey, why don't you have more diversity picks in the cabinet? AKA, why don't you have more blacks in the cabinet? They should be upset about that. That is what people should be upset about, according to Al Sharpton. Take a look.
And there's a lot of people that will be affected and impacted in the interim.
Exactly.
And I think that we can't miss the forest for the trees. When we have a new president, and that's who Donald Trump is, regardless of my views of him, we've got to figure out how we have people not suffer more than they can suffer if we're not dealing with that. That's why when there were those, and there were not as many as I thought, that said, why would you and Mika meet with Donald Trump? He's going to be the president. If you can meet with him, meet with him. That to me, is no different than when people said to me, why would Kamala Harris go talk to Brett Baer? So on one side, she can talk to Brett Baer, but on the other side, he shouldn't come on Morning Joe. I don't think we've got an equal judgment here, because I think all sides need to be talking to all sides. Now, that's not my role. Donald Trump called me after he won the first time. I wouldn't meet with him because I felt that it would be a photo op and he promoted wrongly, even though we should be discussing issues, and we have talked on the phone since then. But I know he's a promoter. If he had been born black, he'd have been Don King. That's what he does well. But I think that what we need to do is deal with the issues that's going to impact people. I would say, I hope in your conversations, we should ask Donald Trump. You talked about black men would be with you. Where's a black man being nominated by you for your cabinet? Has anyone noticed there's no black that has been nominated on his cabinet? That needs to be raised. Rather than who's talking, let's deal with what we're talking about.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Clearly, some people on the left haven't learned. They will never learn. The race hustlers won't learn because the only thing they have is the race hustle, right? So they can't talk about politics without examining it through the lenses of race, right? So therefore, they will always examine everything through the lens of race because that's how they make their money, right? And these are the same individuals that supported Biden's diversity cabinet that ended up resulting in the worst administration of the 21st century, right? And that's the thing that really makes me laugh about these people that are criticizing Trump's cabinet picks, okay? How can you criticize the cabinet picks of the man whose first administration was the best administration of the 21st century? And that's not even disputable, right? That's not up for debate, okay? But yet you supported a guy whose cabinet was filled with diversity picks. People who, according to liberal standards, right, the same standards they are applying to Trump's cabinet picks, were unqualified. Like, for example, Biden's pick for health secretary, Xavier Becerra. What makes him qualified to be the health secretary? Because according to these liberals, their main criticism of RFK is that, well, he doesn't have any medical background, or he's not a doctor, or he doesn't have a science background and stuff like that. Xavier Becerra doesn't have that background either at all, right? But he was picked to be the health secretary. Now, why is that? It just so happens that this guy was the first Latino man to serve in that position, okay? So again, you can argue that he was picked because, hey, we get to check off the diversity list. Hey, we got a Latino in there, right? Even though, according to their own standards that they're applying to RFK, he's unqualified. Pete Buttigieg, the Department of Transportation Secretary. What makes Pete Buttigieg qualified to lead the Department of Transportation? I don't know. The dude was a mayor. He doesn't have any real transportation experience. But Biden picked him. Well, why is that? It's because Pete Buttigieg is gay. Hey, checking off the diversity list. We got a gay guy in there, right? Now, again, what has that resulted in? The worst administration of the 21st century. So again, I don't want to hear any criticisms of Trump's cabinet picks from the same people who supported the worst administration in the 21st century, right? Because again, if picking based off diversity, right? Skin color, race, sex, whether or not you like your genitalia. Again, if these things actually resulted in good policies and good results, then the Biden administration would have had the best administration of the 21st century. But again, they didn't. They had the worst, okay? The absolute worst. And another criticism that I find to be hilarious, because it really does indicate that a lot of these people don't really understand how politics works, or they conveniently forget how politics works when it comes to Trump, is this idea, well, he's just picking loyalists. He's just picking people that are loyal to his agenda. As if every president in the history of this country hasn't done that, right? Think about it. Think about this, okay? These departments are an extension of the executive branch, right? What president is picking somebody that says, nah, I'm not going to do what you want, right? I'm not going to implement the vision that you have for this department and the direction that you want this department to go in? I guarantee you, doing an interview with the president in which the president is trying to figure out whether or not they should pick an individual, Biden, Obama, Bill Clinton, any Democrat, I guarantee you they would not pick an individual that says, nah, I don't agree with your vision for the department. They're not going to pick that person. Of course, they're going to pick somebody that is loyal to the agenda of the president, right? So these criticisms, not only are they hypocritical, because again, by liberals' own standards, there are a lot of people in Biden's cabinet that are not qualified, right? But they're also dumb and naive. So again, it's just so funny how these people want to criticize Trump when they really don't have any room to talk, okay? Now, when it comes to this conversation about Trump not having any black people in his cabinet yet, and I say yet because his cabinet is not complete. We don't know whether or not Trump is going to pick any black people, but as a conservative who happens to be black, I personally don't give a damn, okay? I do not care at all if Trump's cabinet has no black people. Well, why do I say that? Let me explain. Because some troll on X actually asked me this question, right? He says, where are the Tim Scotts, Byron Donalds, and the other black folks that debased themselves for him? Are they not qualified for a cabinet position, or they really meant no DEI, that it's an all-white cabinet for a white agenda fooled? Again, now, first and foremost, Trump's cabinet is not all white, and his agenda is not a white agenda, right? The agenda is to make America great again. My response to his question was, well, Tim Scott has become the leader of the National Republican Senate Committee, right? Which means that he is leading the effort to help the Republicans expand their majority in the Senate. That is a major leadership position that a black Republican is leading, okay? And also Byron Donalds could possibly fill Marco Rubio's Senate seat. Regardless, I do not care about the race of Trump's cabinet picks. I care about them accomplishing the agenda. I hope this helps, right? I really do. Because, again, there are a lot of people that are trying to make something out of Trump's cabinet picks not having the racial diversity that they want, as if that actually means anything at all when it comes to the results. Clearly, Trump's cabinet picks are composed of individuals that he feels are the best qualified to accomplish his agenda and the change that the American people want to see in this country, right? The American people voted for change. That's one of the main reasons why Kamala Harris lost, is because people felt like the country is going in the wrong direction. Now, why do people feel that way? It's because for years, we've had nothing but establishment, bureaucrats, institutionalists be picked to lead this country, these important departments that the American people want to see change. So Trump decided to give the American people what they want, what they voted for, which is change, okay? And the liberal media and the race hustlers are boohoo, whine, and cry. Why there no black people? Why no black? Now, yeah, again, what I find to be fascinating about this is that these same people who claim to celebrate diversity, they're pretty quiet about Trump nominating, for example, his campaign press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, to be the press secretary for the White House, in which she just so happens to not only be a woman, but also the youngest serving individual. I think she's 27 years old, right? So a historic pick that the liberal media would be celebrating had a Democrat made the same move, right? Had a Democrat made a woman as young as Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, they will be celebrating it, right? We all know how much they celebrated Corinne Jean-Pierre being the first black woman, lesbian, right, press secretary, okay? And look how much of a disaster that was. We know why she was picked. She was picked literally because she has a bunch of infinity stones of wokeness. But Caroline Leavitt was picked because of the fact that she did a great job as the press secretary for the campaign. She got picked because she has a proven track record of getting the job done. Now, Trump also picked Susan Wiles to be the chief of staff for the White House, the first woman in that role. Where's the mainstream liberal media on that? Why are they not celebrating this pick? I don't know. Because, again, it had a Democrat did that, made history that way, they would be talking about how historic it is, how great it is. So you don't hear these same people celebrating the historic picks that Trump has made, right? But yet they're smearing Trump because, oh, well, there are no black people. There's not enough diversity, right? Again, it's amazing how that works. When, again, the Democrats have shown us that the whole diversity coalition, that picking people based off their race, their skin color, their sex, whether or not they like their genitalia, it is a recipe for disaster. Me personally, I do not care about the race of the cabinet. If the cabinet was all white, I wouldn't give a damn. Why would I not give a damn? Well, the reason why is because I voted for Trump to solve the key issues. And if he feels like an all-white cabinet, or a cabinet that happens to be all white, are the best people to accomplish the agenda, to do what the American people voted for him to do, then who cares? Who cares? I don't. The only people that care are these individuals that just still have not learned that the American people have rejected this type of identity politics. They rejected diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity for the sake of diversity. Again, notice how Trump will make historic picks, but they're not coming out here and woke virtue signaling about it. They're making the pick and saying, well, this person's qualified because she did a great job, right? Susan Wiles did a great job with Trump's campaign. Caroline Levitt did a great job with Trump's campaign. Boom, they got picked. They didn't say, oh, well, because she's a woman. They're not celebrating because that. No, they're celebrating because they did a damn good job. And that's why in that role. And that's what we should want in this country. If you're a so-called minority, that's what you should want. You shouldn't want to be picked because you're black, or because of your sex, or because of, whether or not you like your genitalia or who you like to sleep with. No, you should want to be picked, or you should want the picks to be made based off who is the most qualified to accomplish the agenda. And just because the liberal media disagrees with the agenda, that doesn't mean that they're unqualified, right? Because, again, somebody like Matt Gaetz, who they say, well, he's unqualified. Well, what makes him unqualified? What makes him unqualified? Because you disagree with the agenda? Matt Gaetz was picked to turn the DOJ upside down. That's not something that you're going to find from some career bureaucrat who has, worked in the DOJ office, or that is some type of insider or some establishment shield, right? They're not going to do that. You need somebody like Matt Gaetz to do that. So he's probably the most qualified for the vision that Trump wants for the DOJ, that the president wants for the DOJ. Same thing with Pete Hegseth. Same thing with RFK, right? The American people voted for change, and you cannot promote institutionalists, establishment shields, people who refuse to implement that change, right? To go against the status quo. You can't promote status quo individuals to positions in which you want to change the status quo. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. So Trump is clearly making picks, not based off diversity, but based off the agenda that he wants to accomplish and the people who are most qualified to get that done, right? That are going to implement his agenda. And that's all I care about. I don't give a damn about race. I don't give a damn about any of these things, okay? So I just want to clear that up because, these people think that this is some type of gotcha or whatever. No, nobody cares about that. All I care about is getting the job done, okay? And Trump is making picks that indicate that he is dead set on doing what the American people voted for him to do, which is to create change in Washington, D.C. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.